Welcome to the Inherent Identity Podcast, a place where you can learn the secrets to living as the best version of you. It's not about changing, it's not about becoming, it's about remembering. It's about recovering what you've always had within you, but you just keep getting distracted and you just keep forgetting. Join me, your host, Tyson Bradley, as we discover the practical steps for easily and effortlessly creating a lifestyle that lasts. Hello, everybody. This is Tyson, and today we're going to talk about some experiences that I've had. And you're going to want to listen in because the stories that I share are going to clue you in onto some of the rules that you follow, that you don't even know that you follow, that are sabotaging you, that are creating pain and suffering in your life, and that are leading you to not having success in the different areas of your life. And so if you want to learn how to overcome the rule following tendencies that you have, then let's dive in. Now, before I go into this, and actually one of the stories that I'm going to share with you comes from an email that I sent out. And this email is pretty much a detailed story of my past Saturday. So this happened very recently, in terms of the time of this recording, November 20th, 21st. This happened last Saturday. Now, for those of you that are not on my email list, what's going on? You should get on the email list because then you can get neat emails that you didn't know had these treasures in them. And so you can get on the email list by going to inherentidentity.com. And we've got a wait list there because I am prepping for the membership that's coming out. I'm going to call it the Inherent Identity Family because it's going to be different than many other groups that I've been a part of in that there is more connection. You will get to know people, and I want to build a community that actually loves and serves other people versus just coming in to something where you consume. Not that other places aren't good, and that there's not value in the many programs and trainings out there. I just want to create something different. I want to create something that I feel where people can come, be themselves, be accepted, belong, all that good stuff. Now, let me just read to you. I'm going to read to you kind of the email, but this is really a fluid story of my experience this last Saturday. And I'll share some other experiences that connect to a similar principle that will tie all this together. So this is my journal entry. This morning, I got up and wrote down my ideals for the day. Things like, I'm so happy and grateful that I was so present and loving and attentive with my family. So happy and grateful that my kids were obedient and kind. It may have been wishful thinking, but that's the point, is write down your ideal, right? And I heard a creaking above my head around 6:47 a.m. And my office is located just below my daughter Kate's bedroom. She's a 7-year-old, and both of my girls were sleeping above me in this room because it was Friday night, and we let them sleep together, and they're in the same room on Friday nights. And I didn't think much about it, but it is kind of pretty early for them to wake up at 6:47. And that usually doesn't bode well later in the day because sleep is vital for 4 and 7-year-olds. Now, eventually they came down for breakfast, and I volunteered to make pancakes topped with cookie butter, and everything was going great. I even followed through on a prompting that I had to kind of share a spiritual message with the family before getting into chores and the rest of the day. And this isn't the norm. And so I didn't get much, but I didn't get much resistance from the family. My wife was like, yeah, that's great. Let's do it. And the kids, they didn't seem to put up a fight, probably because I told them it was a surprise. And so I considered that a win. We had a lesson. It was awesome. And then we got into our chores, our family contributions. And so Kate made a list. They both got to work cleaning their bedrooms. And it wasn't long before they got distracted and started playing, because this is what 4 and 7-year-old brains do. They get distracted sometimes. And this isn't usually a problem for them to get distracted. We just kind of have this rule that says, hey, we can do fun things after you're done. So if you take a long time, and then I guess we'll have to wait. But it was like 2 hours later, and they still hadn't even cleaned up their rooms, which honestly probably would just take like 10 minutes tops. And so, you know how you remind a kid to do something and then they don't do it, right? So you tell them again and again, and it doesn't take long for them to get annoyed with the nagging, and so they start responding in a way that matches your frustration, or they just lay on the attitude with negative tones and gestures, rolling of the eyes, other things like that. Yes, my girls are already doing this. And it's like you could feel the tension rising in the house as the girls started arguing with each other over how to play games and do different things that they were playing together. And I just remember thinking, they aren't even supposed to be playing right now. What are they doing? And so next thing I know, I hear Ellie cry, which usually means Kate has used her body to communicate her anger. So I go back up the stairs to address the issue and get them back on task. I was kind of tired of them fighting. So when I asked Kate why Ellie was crying, she responded with, I didn't do anything, Dad, in a voice that was worthy of an angsty teenager. And at this point, I was kind of done. I said, go to your room. I demanded, I've had enough of your attitude. And this was not turning out to be the ideal day that I imagined. And I wasn't being the ideal dad today. Because you know how you just want to control things? You think that if you can just get people to do what you want, that you'll be happy. The life will be great if others would just stop yelling, hurting, disobeying. And in order to exercise control, especially on kids, you use threats and consequences and sometimes, guilt and shame. And so today my weapons of choice were threats and consequences. And so I told him, I said, hey, if you guys can't get along with each other, then we won't be able to go to Paisley's, which is their cousin that they love playing with every weekend. I had already texted my sister and said, hey, can they come play? She said yes. And so I threatened them. And of course the response is, we'll play nice together. And as much as they say that, I know it's kind of like an empty promise, because they're kids. And I actually don't even feel satisfied in hearing them say it, because I'm frustrated. Like, they shouldn't be fighting, and their chores should be done, right? They should be different than they are. These thoughts of people needing to be different, and they're not. And so after lunch, I had the chance to come into my office, and I would say that my office is kind of like my sanctuary now. I've got pictures of Christ hanging on the walls. I do pretty much all my meditation and prayer while sitting in front of my white desk. and the window. And so, and even though there was like plenty of things that I could do with my time, it's like I had a self-help book on the table, and I wanted to read it. I had work tasks that I could sneak in, games I could play. But I felt like I just had this hole in my heart, just this emptiness in my chest because I wasn't being the kind of father I wanted to be. And I was debating whether to actually follow through on the threat of not going to Paisley's. And you know how, I don't know, you know how you throw out threats sometimes, but then you kind of regret it because you actually want them to go because it allows you to take a break from them sometimes. So this was kind of my thing, is that I wanted them to go. I wanted them to experience this fun time. And because it would also provide an opportunity for my wife and I to go out and about and do different errands. And so I sat there kind of just really pondering and thinking, is this really what I wanted to do? And so I just think sometimes the punishment that we create is also a punishment on ourselves, which maybe now that I think about it, it can be fitting because we all haven't been acting as our inherent selves today. So I decided to read the ideal that I wrote that morning. And as I read it, I'm so happy and grateful that, I was patient, loving, kind, that the kids were good. I just thought to myself, well, this day sure hasn't been ideal. But as I read, I also just took a moment to breathe deeply. And I know I've shared this before, but one of the Greek definitions for the word repent is a change of breath. And so I find it very powerful to just breathe, take a deep breath. People say that all the time, but do you actually do it? And so I took a deep breath and I wrote out my thoughts and my feelings to God. And I said, Dad, I want to teach my girls to be kind, but they're not in the mood to be kind. I am not being kind as well. I am sorry. I want to choose light and love. What would love do? So I was trying to think, what would love do in this situation? And the response came with, I guess, what I experience as an energy wave that kind of travels from the top of my head down to my spine and into my heart. And I just felt the words, forgive everyone, love everyone, support and help them. These were simple commands, but they were powerful because they spoke to my heart. And I think that's how God works. I think he gives simple principles and allows us to choose how to implement them. So I hear the words, love everyone. And with those words come the impression to just give my kids hugs. And I also had the thought to call my sister to see what plans could be arranged for getting together that evening. And so I kind of went into action once I kind of had these thoughts, these impressions. I called my sister and found out that getting together that evening wasn't really going to work out. But because I called her, she said, hey, maybe we could get together tomorrow. And so we were able to make arrangements for the following day, which was awesome because there was a part of me also that wanted to keep my commitment, my punishment, my consequence of, because they weren't, acting in a way that that I felt would be good for playing, that they wouldn't get to go. So all that worked out. I went upstairs and I gave my kids hugs. And I could tell that they needed them. I needed them. And as I held Kate, I just felt a warmth. As my heart's against hers, I'm on my knees, just giving her a hug. And sometimes I even just imagine just this like transfer of love, as though my love is emanating from me to her. And I don't know if that's actually possible. I've read studies done and that there's this electromagnetic force of the heart and things like that, but it sure feels like it to me when I emanate and exude love. And so yeah, that was an awesome experience. And I sat there and I just remember thinking how much I love my girls, how much I want to be there for them. And you'd think that after this experience, I'd be like the perfect dad the rest of the day, right? Well, I wasn't. 5 hours later, I found myself yelling at my kids to not jump on the couch. And later, I found myself reflecting on just the whole experience of even just yelling at them on the couch. And I thought to myself, where does this rule even come from? And I just reflected on my own childhood and being told not to jump on the couch. And I don't know about you, but I actually think it's this rule in every household. Most every household that I've been in, there are times where the parents say, "Don't jump on the couch," and I think, why? Heaven forbid, should we put our dirty feet on the thing we sit our butts on? And as I just like reflected on this, I just laughed to myself because as you start to question all the many rules that you establish to create control, you realize like how little you are in control, how much you are not in control. And so I think that the power in kind of questioning and slowing down is just, it's demonstrated every single day. And that was my email. That was my experience on Saturday. And I want to share just a couple of other like short experiences that demonstrate a similar principle. Even this morning, a couple experience. My daughter gets ready for school. My wife and my daughter. My wife drives my daughter Kate to school. My 4-year-old's at home because it's Thanksgiving week and she doesn't have preschool. So Ellie had the idea to put the star on top of the tree. She wanted me to help her put the star on top of the tree. And so she said, "Let's do it." And I was like, thinking to myself, oh, wait, we can't put the star on. And I told her, I said, "Hey, putting a star on the tree is pretty special. Let's wait for all the family." And she's like, "But Mommy said that you could do it after." And she starts crying. And as much as I don't want to, I guess, cave in to just my daughters whining or complaining and crying to get what they want, sometimes I actually find it beneficial for them to whine and cry, because in this moment, I was just like, wait, it's like, why? Why is this a big deal? Where did this come from? This idea that everybody needs to be gathered together. It needs to be a ceremony where the star is put on the top of the tree. And so I decided, you know what? This doesn't need to be a thing. And it honestly hasn't been a thing. It's not like my family has a tradition of doing that. Within the 10 years of my wife and I being married, we don't have a tradition of making a ceremony of putting a star on top of the tree, the Christmas tree. And so I pretty much just said, okay. And we put the star on top of the tree. Another experience this morning was met with a client, and she was sharing how she wanted to post onto social media, as a way to promote her business. And she shared how, sometimes she'll look at Instagram, she'll spend time, consuming on Instagram, and she'll see all the creative ways and then means that people post and how funny they are, how engaging they are. And the thing about seeing other people's posts and seeing the way they do things is that quite often what the brain naturally does is that it says, oh, they do this thing and I'm not like that. And this is exactly what happened with my clients. Like, she sees these messages and she's discouraged. Why? Because she's thinking, I need to be like them in order to be successful. But I'm not like them. I'm not creative. I'm not funny. I'm not as engaging. I'm not a good storyteller, whatever other thing. But these were some of the thoughts that she shared with me. I was like, wait. It's like, hold up. And I asked her, I said, hey, is this really your ideal? Like, do you really want to post on social media and is this the result that you want? And just in kind of questioning and just saying, who said that you had to be funny and engaging in order to get, clients? Because at the end of the day, the real desire is that you get clients to come to you and experience like the full benefit of receiving your coaching. And so we just create these rules of saying, oh, in order to be successful, we have to create engaging, funny posts. That is the way. Because we think that it's working for other people. We don't even know. Just because someone has a bunch of likes doesn't mean that they have a thriving business. There are plenty of influencers out there that have even millions of followers, but they don't know how to monetize it. They haven't been able to use their influence as a way to create a lasting, program or service or whatever. And so we really have to start questioning, and this is what I did for her, is just start questioning her ideals and these desires. Remember her just like on the other end, just, oh, wow, okay. Kind of just having these short, simple epiphanies just because we were able to question the desire. It's like, is this desire coming from the world? Is it coming from my heart? Is this the ideal that I'm really wanting to pursue, or is it different? Now, I'll share with you one final experience. And these 3 experiences, these little ones, are all from this morning. So this morning, I eat my breakfast, and I'm making my girls some breakfast, and they both want toast. So I make them some toast. Ellie wants the crust cut off. I'm like, that's fine. I cut the crust off. And sometimes I look at that crust and I think, I want to eat that crust because it's good. And you add some butter on that crust, and it's just like, great, I get to eat some toast too. And as I did this, because my breakfast was a little smaller than usual, didn't have as much. I make these like sweet potato hash browns, and they're good, but didn't have as much of that. So I could watch my brain and see my brain just, justifying and saying, yeah, you can eat some of this toast. And as I sat there and as I was, eating some of the pieces, I thought, why am I doing this? And I thought, well, I'm doing this because I want to, because I am a little hungry, could use some more food. And then I just kind of followed up with the question. It was like, do I like my reasons for doing this action? And I debated a little bit because in part, I also knew that it was that part of my eating the crust comes from this habit and this mentality and mindset of not wanting to waste things. And so I had to really question and discern whether or not this desire and this action was coming from a place of not wanting to waste, versus wanting to add value to my life. Because a lot of times I think that I don't want to waste, but it's actually hurtful to my body to just eat waste, eat things that I would put in the garbage can, because it's overeating, or it's eating something that will not add benefit. Because if you overeat, then a lot of times what that causes is sleepiness, and at least for me, it doesn't support my body to overeat. So all of these experiences really communicate a simple framework, and it might be hard to catch it, but I'll lay it out in a kind of a step-by-step format so that you see how this strategy is applied. Now, in each of my experiences, really what it starts out as is the first step is that we have to have an awareness. We have to watch our thoughts. We have to come to a place where we see ourselves doing something. With my clients, it's like I'm able to do that for her. And for many people, it's actually almost impossible for you to see the damage that you're creating or the challenges that you have, which is why there are so many coaches out there, which is why I say go get a coach. If it's not me, get someone. Get a coach. Get someone who can see clearly, because you are swimming in polluted water and you don't even know it. And then when it comes to putting the star on the tree, is just this moment where I was like, wait, I started to catch myself. This is the awareness piece. It's like, okay, what's going on here? For some, it might be you actually just take a pause in your day, like I did on Saturday, where I, go in my office and I breathe so that I can get into a place where I am aware. It's like, okay, am I being the kind of person I want to be today, or in this moment, or in this activity? And now I can just be present. And so step one is awareness. And step two is questioning. And one specific question that I'd have you ask is this: where does this thought, feeling, or action or result come from? Where does this come from? And when it comes to an action, the third step is just to be able to say, why am I doing this? And the fourth step being the question of, do I like my reasons? Now, if you follow this framework, if you follow the framework of bringing awareness, asking, and then asking the questions like, where did this come from? And being able to feel into, and it's like these questions allow you to discern. So I get into awareness, I question myself, and then I discern. Discern meaning, is this from my heart, or is this from my head? Is this from the program of the world and the rules that I've created from who knows where? Or is this a true desire? What do I really want here? And as you apply this framework, you're going to be able to let go of the rules in which you are unconsciously living by. And the more that you do that, the more that you free yourself from these unquestioned laws, the more that you create freedom in your life, the more that you're able to show up as who you really are, which is what we're all about with inherent identity. Because if you don't catch yourself, if you don't spend time observing yourself, if you don't spend time discerning, it's hard for you to actually understand who you really are and to live into it, to live into the best life available for you that is promised to you. So that is what I want to invite you all to do today, is to apply yourself in catching yourself, getting into awareness, questioning yourself. Where does this come from? Why am I doing this? Do I like my reasons? And using those questions to then discern between what is a rule from the world versus what is the ideal that I would like to create in my life. All right? And if you want more help with this, go sign up for join the wait list to get into the Inherent Identity family, because I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing, and I will help you in applying all of these concepts that I teach on this podcast. And we will go deeper. We will create change in an easy and effortless way. All right, my friends, we'll talk to you later. Hey, do you want to create your best life? Do you want to live into it? If that's you, I want you to come and check out inherentidentity.com. This is the place where you get to learn the easy and effortless way to living into your dreams. So once again, come check out inherentidentity.com. We'll see you there.